Welcome to Top 10 channel. How did the richest people in the world make their fortune? Who are the 10 richest people in the world? Last year was not easy, the pandemic somehow tangibly hit all people. However, this does not apply to the richest people in the world. In 2021 they earned about $385 billion, and if their capital is combined, then almost $1.5 trillion will come out. Let's look at the top 10 richest people in the world according to Forbes. Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the owner of Tesla and SpaceX, the largest electric car and space equipment companies. Today, his fortune is estimated at $256 billion, which helped him lead the top richest people on the planet, overtaking the head of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Forbes notes that Musk is possibly the richest person who has ever lived on Earth. His net worth is about 4 million times that of the average US family. Even if he spends $1 million a day, he will run out of money only after 700 years. Musk is almost a real-life analog of Tony Stark from Marvel movies and comics, a charismatic and ambitious billionaire philanthropist, lover of cool cars and space. Iron Man director Jon Favreau even admitted that the character played by Robert Downey Jr. is largely based on Elon Musk. The entrepreneur also has a construction company, The Boring Company, which in 2017 began construction of an underground subway for cars in California. As planned, this should solve the problem of traffic jams. In addition, in those rare moments when he is not running companies and not thinking about ways to send people to other planets, Musk sits on Twitter, jokes, and is actively interested in cryptocurrencies, which is why he has gained immense popularity in the internet space. Jeff Bezos. Bezos is the CEO and founder of the largest e-commerce company, Amazon, and the private aerospace company Blue Origin, as well as a philanthropist, rival to Musk for supremacy in the private space industry, and a bit of an astronaut himself. At the moment, his fortune is estimated at $187 billion. In addition to developing Amazon and flying into space, Bezos is involved in charity work. He owns the Bezos Earth Fund, which aims to mitigate climate change. Through it, he plans to invest $10 billion by 2030 in the projects of activists, scientists, and various organizations aimed at combating global warming. But this is not the end of charitable work. During the pandemic, Bezos donated $100 million to Feeding America to create food banks, and the same amount to victims of cataclysms. Bill Gates. If you have ever made presentations for school speeches, worked with spreadsheets, or simply used a PC in any form, then one way or another you have dealt with Microsoft products. What can we say? Even this very text was written using a program that would not exist if it were not for Gates. He founded the company in 1975 with Paul Allen, and soon Microsoft became the largest in the field of software development. Gates earned nearly $7 billion last year and is currently worth an estimated $134 billion. Now Gates owns only 1% of the company's shares, he sold the rest, and created charitable foundations with the money received, which makes him the largest philanthropist in the world. In 2016, the founder of Microsoft, along with Bezos and 20 other investors, created the Breakthrough Energy Fund, in which they invested $1 billion. At the moment, the organization sponsors a number of companies that are looking for new sustainable ways to generate energy. In 2000, Gates, along with his wife Melinda, created another fund aimed at helping poor countries. And in 2018, he opened a $100 million medical research institute in Boston. Its task is to create new vaccines and drugs for malaria and tuberculosis. Bernard Arnault. Bernard Arnault is the CEO of the French company LVMH Moët Hennessy, which sells the group's luxury goods under the Louis Vuitton, Dior, Fendi, Loro Piana, and Bulgari brands. Arnault is the only Frenchman on the list. Recall, most of the rating is Americans, and the richest businessman in Europe. Last year, for some time, he even took a leading place in the top, but only for 3 days, then Bezos again captured the championship. Arnault earned $63.6 billion last year and is currently worth an estimated $195 billion. The entrepreneur got rich because in the 1980s he saved the French company Christian Dior from ruin, and then bought out 100% of its shares. Thanks to this, he received about $30 billion. Larry Page. If you are currently reading this article on a phone and it is not an iPhone, then most likely it is running on Google software. Created the company Larry Page together with Sergey Brin in 1998. Page currently leads Alphabet, the parent company of Google. His fortune is estimated at $119 billion. Sergey Brin. Brin is originally from Moscow, graduated from Stanford University, where he met Page. Capital, $115 billion. Warren Buffett. Buffett is an American businessman and one of the largest and most famous investors in the world. Buffett's main capital is his stake in a large holding company, Berkshire Hathaway, in the amount of $116 billion. Buffett put $34 billion into the Gates Foundation and in 2010 said he would give all of his money, at the time $36 billion, to charity, making him one of the biggest philanthropists in human history. Larry Ellison. Oracle is right behind Microsoft in software development. The company was founded by Larry Ellison in 1977. 8 years ago, he left the post of CEO, reserving the right to decide the fate of the company, and began to head the technology development department. Since 2015, his company has been developing cloud storage technologies. In addition, a little earlier, Ellison bought the Hawaiian island of Lanai for $400 million, where he is currently working on a project to develop hydroponic farming. Steve Ballmer. Ballmer led Microsoft from 2010 to 2014. Owns the Los Angeles Clippers of the NBA. Popularly known as the main opponent of Apple. Most of his fortune is almost 5% of Microsoft shares. Recall that the share of Gates himself is 5 times less. Mukesh Ambani. According to Forbes, Mukesh Ambani is the richest man in India, although he lives in England, and the owner of the largest private sector company in this country, Reliance Industries. Ambani's capital is estimated at $90 billion, which is almost 50% of the shares of his company. Despite global changes around the world, it's nice to see that at least this rating remains almost unchanged. Aside from some reshuffling due to scandals and stock crashes, roughly the same people end up on the list year after year. And it's even more pleasant to realize that many of them spend their untold wealth on technological breakthroughs, improving the environment, or helping those in need.